All right. So you said over a ton of stuff about making college more affordable.
Yeah.
Seems like you're really trying to figure out
Uh,
how to get a good education without, going broke
right.
or even coming out ahead on the other side.
Yeah.
Um, we've got a lot of different sources here. It looks like excerpts from Debt Free You by Zach Bissonette,
Okay.
some Dave Ramsey, even a little bit of Andrew Tobias talking about sneaky scholarship sources.
Hmm.
And one thing that really jumped out at me is that most students are using loans these days to pay for college.
Yeah.
And not the good kind either, like those parent PLUS loans with
Right.
the crazy interest rates.
It's interesting how much the conversation has shifted from where to go to college to how to afford college.
Yeah.
It used to be all about getting into the best school possible,
Right.
but now families are really getting practical about the financial side of things.
Yeah, it makes sense. Who wants to graduate with a six-figure bill before they even have a job, right? One thing that keeps popping up in these clips is this idea of starting at a community college.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll be honest, back in my day, that was kind of like the backup plan.
Right.
But it sounds like things are changing.
Oh, the stigma around community college is definitely fading, especially as those 4-year tuition prices keep going up.
Yeah.
Employers are realizing that practical skills and work ethic matter more than a fancy name on a diploma these days.
So it's not just about saving money. It's about like actually coming out ahead in the job market too.
Exactly. And some schools are even sweetening the deal for community college transfers.
Okay.
Like University of Maryland University College, for example.
Okay.
They have this Transfer Advantage scholarship. It's $3,300 a year.
Wow.
That's just for having your associate's degree.
Wow.
And then Western Michigan University
Okay.
has a similar deal. They stack almost $5,000 on top of their already lower tuition.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Speaking of saving money, one of the clips mentioned taking summer courses at community colleges, which is genius.
Absolutely.
I actually took a class on human sexuality at Cape Cod Community College one summer.
Oh, wow.
It was online for like $300.
Wow.
It saved me a ton compared to what my university would have charged.
And those credits transferred just fine.
Yeah.
You know what's often overlooked is that most employers don't really scrutinize where you got your general education credits.
Right.
They just care that you have them.
That you have them. Yeah, okay. But let's be real for a second.
Sure.
There's still this idea out there that community college limits your options.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say to those folks who are a little bit hesitant?
It's about being strategic.
Yeah.
If you know that you want to end up at a specific 4-year university,
Right.
check their transfer agreements.
Yep.
Many have these clear pathways for community college grads to enter as a junior
Oh.
seamlessly.
So it's like a secret shortcut to a brand name degree.
It can be, and for some careers, like nursing or certain tech fields,
Yeah.
the associate's degree itself is enough to land a great job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you've chosen your path, whether it's community college, a 4-year school, something else entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Another big topic in these clips is working while in college.
Yes.
And a lot of folks, I think, worry that it'll hurt their grades.
Right.
But these sources are saying not so fast.
Yeah.
Not necessarily true.
Working a moderate number of hours can actually boost your academic performance.
Really?
Yes, students with jobs often have better time management skills,
Mm-hmm.
and they're more motivated.
Oh,
They're literally putting their time and money into their education.
right.
There's even research that shows that working 15 hours a week can lead to a higher GPA.
That's wild.
Yeah,
But how do you balance work with, actually studying
right.
and having some semblance of a social life?
It's all about setting realistic expectations and planning out your schedule carefully.
Okay.
And plus, not all work is created equal.
Right.
These sources highlight some pretty interesting ideas,
Like what?
like caddying,
Oh,
bartending, or even becoming a personal trainer.
caddying, that's brilliant fresh air exercise.
Yeah.
And you're literally surrounded by successful people on the golf course.
Exactly.
Networking 101.
Networking 101 in bartending teaches you customer service skills,
Mm,
how to handle pressure,
right.
and you might even pick up some decent tips.
Yeah, there was even one about selling stuff on eBay.
Oh, yeah.
Learn some entrepreneurial skills while you're at it.
Mhm.
But isn't there this thing about like working too much and it messing up your financial aid?
Yeah, the FA form can be tricky.
Okay.
It has this income threshold.
Okay.
If you earn above a certain amount,
Yeah.
your aid gets reduced.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Work-study earnings don't count against you.
So prioritize those on-campus jobs.
Exactly. And once you hit that threshold, Focus on earning more after college
Okay.
because you get to keep 50% of what you make beyond that point.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, it's like a game. You got to know the rules to win.
Right. Dave Ramsey had a great point in one of these clips.
Oh, yeah.
He said that as an employer, he's more impressed by a student who worked 3 part-time jobs to pay for college
Mm-hmm.
than by, someone with a fancy degree.
Yeah.
It shows dedication and hustle.
Work experience can be a huge advantage
Yeah.
in the job market.
Totally.
It's not just about the money. It's about building skills,
Yeah.
connections,
Right.
and a strong work ethic.
Okay, so we've tackled community college. We
Mhm.
talked about working during school.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the bane of every student's existence.
Oh, boy.
Textbooks.
I know.
I still have nightmares about the outrageous prices and those new edition scams.
Right.
Like, really?
It's like they're designed to drain your bank account.
Totally.
But there are ways to fight back.
Yeah.
Renting textbooks is one option,
Mm-hmm.
but always compare that rental cost to the buyback price.
Okay.
Sometimes buying used is actually cheaper.
I saved a fortune in law school by buying an older edition,
Oh, wow.
just practically identical to the new one. It's
Nice.
just a fraction of the price.
And don't forget about libraries.
Oh, yeah.
They might not have the latest edition,
Right.
but for those core courses, the content is often very similar.
Plus, those late-night study sessions in the library stacks.
know.
Classic college experience.
Yes.
There are also websites like ecampus.com
Mm-hmm.
that sell used textbooks at a discount.
It's about being resourceful
Yeah,
and not just accepting those inflated bookstore prices.
totally. And speaking of saving money, the sources had some strong opinions about housing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, dorm life.
Yeah.
Fun memories.
Uh-huh.
Definitely not cheap.
No.
And don't even get me started on campus food.
Oh, tell me about it.
One time I complained about the cost to the dining hall manager,
Oh, no.
and he was like, yeah, but is IHOP all you can eat?
Oh, my God.
The logic there was questionable,
Wow.
but living off campus almost always cheaper, right?
Yeah, it is.
And it teaches you real life skills like cooking and budgeting.
Exactly. It forces you to think about where your money's going
Yeah.
instead of just swiping a card.
Okay, so get this. One source suggested starting a Roth IRA while you're in college.
Really?
Sounds crazy, right?
It's interesting.
It might seem counterintuitive, but hear me out.
Okay.
Let's say you manage to stash away $500 each year
Mm-hmm.
and your parents match it.
Okay.
That's $1,000 a year invested.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even with like a modest 7% average return,
Okay.
that money could grow to over $5,000 by the time you graduate.
Wow.
Okay, that's not chump change. But what about all the other college expenses?
That's the beauty of the Roth IRA. You're not just saving,
Right?
you're investing.
Yeah.
That $5,000, if you keep contributing just $100 a month and let compounding work its magic,
Right.
by the time you retire, it could be worth over $250,000.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm officially intrigued. It's like planting a tiny seed
Mm-hmm.
that grows into this massive financial tree.
Exactly. Starting early, even
Right.
with small amounts, can make a huge difference thanks to the power of compound growth.
Totally.
Mm.
And imagine graduating college with a nest egg,
Right.
not just a diploma.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered community college.
Yeah.
We talked about working textbooks
Mhm.
and even sneakily investing while we're at it.
I like it.
Now, this next one might sound totally out there, but bear with me.
Okay.
What about investing in college town real estate?
Now that's an interesting angle.
I know,
Mhm.
right? It sounds crazy, but the sources say that buying a property in a college town can be a brilliant move.
Mhm.
You provide housing for your student at a lower cost than the dorms,
Okay.
and you make an investment that could appreciate in value over time.
That's a 2-for-1 deal.
It is.
Housing and an investment.
And there's actually data to back this up.
Oh, yeah.
Look at American Campus Communities.
Mm.
It's a real estate investment trust that focuses solely on student housing.
Wow.
They've been incredibly successful.
Interesting.
I'm actually living proof that this can work.
Yep.
I bought 2 condos in Amherst when I was in college.
Wow.
It was one of the smartest decisions I ever made.
See, it's about challenging conventional thinking
Mm-hmm.
and finding creative solutions.
Exactly. Of course you need to do your homework
Right.
and make sure you're investing in a good market.
Of course.
But the potential is there.
Absolutely. Speaking of challenging conventional thinking,
Yeah.
there's another point that kept popping up in these sources.
Okay.
Rethinking the whole college experience.
Okay. I'm all ears. What do they mean by that?
It's about pushing back against this college arms race.
Okay.
Where schools are competing on,
Yeah.
fancy dorms and gourmet dining halls,
Right.
which drives up the cost for everyone.
It's like they're selling a lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
not an education.
Right. But what are the alternatives?
Right.
Well, the sources highlight some innovative options.
Okay.
Southern New Hampshire University has this Advantage program
Okay.
that strips away all the bells and whistles to offer a more affordable degree.
And then there's straighterline.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's an online course marketplace where you can knock out credits for a fraction of the cost.
So it's about questioning those assumptions
Yeah.
and being open to new possibilities.
Exactly. There are many paths to a great education.
Yeah.
It's about finding the one that fits your goals and your budget.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here.
We have.
Community college,
Uh-huh.
working textbooks,
Yeah.
sneaky investing,
I love it.
even shaking up the whole college experience.
Right.
But there's one thing I haven't heard much about,
Okay.
and it's kind of weighing on me.
What's that?
What about the mental and emotional toll of all this?
Oh, yeah.
The pressure to succeed, the fear of debt,
Mm-hmm.
the constant financial juggling act?
You're right. It can be incredibly overwhelming.
Yeah.
The sources do touch on this,
Okay.
especially the link between student loan debt and mental health issues,
Right.
like anxiety and depression.
Yeah, it's like a vicious cycle.
It is. The pressure leads to financial stress,
Right.
which then fuels those mental health struggles,
Mm.
which makes it even harder to succeed.
It's tough.
It's heartbreaking.
We need to be having more open and honest conversations
Yeah.
about this side of the college affordability crisis.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about the numbers.
Right.
It's about the human cost.
It's about supporting students, not just financially,
Yeah,
but emotionally as well.
absolutely. We need to create a culture where students feel empowered to make smart choices
Right.
without being crushed by the pressure.
Okay, that's a great reminder. It's not just about surviving college.
Yeah.
It's about thriving.
Right.
So for folks feeling overwhelmed right now,
Mm-hmm.
what's your best piece of advice?
First, take a deep breath.
Okay.
You are not alone in this.
Yeah.
Millions of families are facing these same challenges.
Right.
There are resources available, people who can help you navigate this maze.
Reach out, ask questions,
Yes.
and don't be afraid to challenge the status quo.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, college is just one chapter
Yeah.
in a much longer story.
Right.
Your worth isn't defined by the school you attend or the amount of debt you have.
What matters is your passion,
Yes.
your work ethic,
Uh-huh.
and your commitment to building a fulfilling life.
That's it.
And those are things that no college can take away from you.
Beautifully said.
Okay, I think it's time to wrap up this first part of our deep dive.
Okay.
But before we go, I want to leave our listener with a question to ponder.
Right.
If college costs keep rising, is that traditional 4-year residential experience
Yeah.
still the best path for everyone? What other options might be worth exploring?
That's a great question. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's one that more and more families are grappling with, you
Yeah.
know, this whole traditional college experience,
Yeah.
moving away from home,
Yeah.
living in the dorms, that 4-year immersion. It's
What?
almost become like a luxury good.
It's like the college version of a designer handbag.
Yeah.
You know, looks great in the brochure. Maybe not the most practical investment, but
Yeah.
what about like the social side of things?
Mm-hmm.
Meeting new people, making connections, those late night study sessions, aren't those valuable too?
Of course, but those experiences aren't exclusive to a 4-year residential campus. You can build friendships,
Yeah.
network, even pull all-nighters at your local coffee shop.
Yeah.
It's really about being proactive and seeking out those opportunities,
Yeah.
regardless of your educational path.
I guess it's like anything else in life. You get out what you put in.
Exactly, and let's not forget about the skills that you develop by living off campus and managing your own finances.
Right.
Those are life lessons that'll serve you well beyond graduation.
Okay, so let's say you've played the game, right?
Mhm.
You've chosen an affordable path. You've worked smart. You saved money.
Yeah,
You avoided those scary loans. What happens when you graduate?
right.
I mean, the job market's no joke out there.
Yeah, it is.
And those student loan bills start showing up pretty quickly.
That's where career planning comes in.
Yeah.
And it's something you should really be thinking about from day one,
Right.
not just when you're about to toss that cap in the air.
So it's not just about like picking a major. It's about building a resume, networking,
Yeah,
figuring out what skills employers actually want.
absolutely. And guess what?
What?
The sources actually challenge this idea that you need a degree from an elite school
Mm-hmm.
to land a great job.
Right.
Employers are increasingly looking for candidates with real-world experience
Okay.
and a proven track record.
So all those part-time jobs, internships, maybe even that side hustle, selling stuff on eBay,
Right.
those could actually be more valuable than a fancy diploma.
They can be. It shows initiative, problem-solving skills,
Yeah.
and that all-important work ethic.
Wow.
Plus, you never know what connections you might make along the way.
One source even suggested emailing people you admire and asking for advice. I mean, that takes guts,
It does.
but I guess it couldn't hurt.
The author of one of these clips actually did that. He emailed Andrew Tobias, the personal finance guru, back when he was in high school.
Wow.
And that email led to a meeting, a book deal, and a whole career in finance.
That's incredible.
Pretty inspiring, right?
It just goes to show that sometimes all it takes is a little courage
Yeah.
and a well-crafted email to open some doors you never even knew existed.
It's all about putting yourself out there,
Yeah.
building those relationships.
But what about those of us who, don't have a clear career path in mind at 18? Not everyone's born knowing they want to be a brain surgeon
Right.
or a rocket scientist.
That's totally normal.
Okay.
College is a time for exploration and discovery.
Right.
Part-time jobs, internships, even volunteer work. Those can all give you a taste of different fields,
Okay.
help you figure out what sparks your interest.
And hey, it's okay to change majors too, right?
Of course.
I mean, I started as a pre-med student and ended up with a degree in philosophy.
You and me both.
Life's full of surprises.
It's about finding your path, not just following someone else's blueprint.
Right.
And your major doesn't have to dictate your career.
Okay.
Plenty of people end up working in fields that are totally unrelated to
Right.
their undergraduate degree.
Okay, but let's be real for a second.
Sure.
Even with all this talk about saving and smart choices,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of students are still going to graduate with debt.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the elephant in the room.
It's a huge issue, and the sources don't shy away from that. They
Mm.
really dive deep into the student loan crisis and the potential impact it can have on your financial life.
It's not just about those monthly payments.
No.
It's about the ripple effect it has on your ability to buy a home,
Right.
start a family,
Yeah.
even save for retirement.
It can feel like a financial anchor weighing you down for years,
Yeah.
even decades.
One source even compared it to buying a car with a loan.
Oh,
You're paying interest on something that's losing value over time.
ouch. That's why the sources are such big proponents of,
Yeah.
paying for college as you go,
Right.
whenever possible.
Right.
It's all about minimizing that debt burden from the get-go.
But what about those who already have student loan debt? It's easy to say don't take out loans.
Right.
But that doesn't really help the folks who are, already struggling with payments.
There are resources out there, thankfully.
Okay.
Income-driven repayment plans.
Sorry.
Those can lower your monthly payments based on your income.
Okay.
And some professions even qualify for loan forgiveness programs.
But those programs can be kind of tricky to navigate, right?
It can be.
Like there's a lot of fine print, bureaucratic hoops to jump through.
That's why it's so crucial to do your research.
Right.
Understand the terms of your loans and seek guidance from reputable sources.
Okay.
Organizations like the National Foundation for Credit Counseling,
Mm-hmm.
they offer free or low-cost advice. And there are websites like studentloanjustice.org that provide information and advocacy for borrowers.
So even if you're feeling overwhelmed by debt, there are steps you can take
Yeah,
to get back on track.
absolutely.
It's about taking control and finding those solutions that work for your specific situation.
Knowledge is power,
Right.
especially when it comes to finances.
Okay, so we've talked about individual responsibility, making smart choices,
Yeah.
finding resources. But what about like the bigger picture? Can anything be done on a societal level to tackle this college affordability crisis?
That's where policy comes in.
Okay.
And the sources actually have some pretty bold suggestions
Like what?
for reforming the system.
Okay.
One thing they keep bringing up is the FF form.
Mm.
It seems like the current system actually discourages students from working and saving money,
Really?
right? It's like they're being penalized for trying to be responsible.
Wow.
The sources argue that the FSA needs a major overhaul
Okay.
to provide more support and incentives
Yeah.
for students who are working their way through college.
There's also this call for greater transparency and accountability from colleges.
Yes.
It feels like there are all these hidden costs
Mm-hmm.
and these questionable spending practices
Mm-hmm.
that are driving up tuition prices.
It's like they're speaking a different language.
Right.
Administrative fees.
Right.
Student activity fees.
Right. It all adds up.
It all adds up. The sources argue that colleges need to be more upfront about their costs
Right.
and held accountable
Yeah.
for how they're using student tuition dollars.
It's about time someone called them out on that.
Right. It's our money.
Yeah.
We deserve to know where it's going.
Another point that really resonated with me was the need for better consumer education.
Yes.
It seems like a lot of students are making these huge financial decisions
Right.
without really understanding the long-term consequences.
It's like they're being thrown in the deep end without knowing how to swim.
Yeah.
The sources really advocate for making financial literacy a mandatory part of the high school curriculum.
Okay.
Students need to be equipped with the knowledge and skills
Yeah.
to make informed decisions about college
Right.
and their financial future.
It's about empowering them to be savvy consumers,
Exactly.
not just walking dollar signs.
Right. It's about creating a system that's fair,
Yeah.
transparent, and accessible to all students,
Right.
regardless of their background or financial situation.
You know, one thing that struck me about these sources
Yeah.
is that they don't just focus on like the financial side of college.
Mm-hmm.
They also emphasize the importance of like finding your passion,
Yeah.
living a fulfilling life.
It's not just about getting a job.
Right.
It's about finding your purpose.
The sources challenge this idea that college is simply a stepping stone
Yeah.
to a high-paying career.
Right. They talk about the value of choosing a major
Yeah.
that you're genuinely interested in, even if it's not the most practical choice.
And they remind us that, learning for its own sake is incredibly valuable.
It is.
Not just for the sake of earning a degree.
It's like a breath of fresh air.
It is.
It's a reminder that college is more than just a financial transaction.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity for personal growth,
Right.
intellectual exploration, self-discovery.
It's about finding your place in the world,
Exactly.
not just finding a job.
Right.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
The importance of affordability, the need for systemic reform,
Mm-hmm.
the power of finding your passion.
Yes.
But there's one more thing I think we need to address,
Okay.
and it's something that often gets overlooked.
What's that?
What about the mental and emotional toll of this whole college affordability crisis?
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about like the financial stress,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also this immense pressure to succeed.
Right.
Get into the right school,
Yeah.
choose the right major land, the right job.
It's a lot.
It's incredibly overwhelming for students.
You're absolutely right. The sources do touch on this. Okay. Particularly the link between student loan debt
Yeah.
and mental health issues.
Right.
Like depression and anxiety.
It's like this vicious cycle.
It is.
The pressure to succeed leads to financial stress,
Right.
which fuels those mental health struggles,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it even harder to succeed.
It's tough.
It's heartbreaking.
We need to be more open and honest
Yeah.
about this side of the college affordability crisis.
Right.
It's not just about the numbers.
Mm.
It's about the human cost.
It's about supporting students, not just financially, but emotionally as well.
Absolutely. We need to create a culture where students feel empowered
Yeah.
to make smart choices without being crushed by the pressure.
Okay, that's a great reminder. It's not just about surviving college.
Right.
It's about thriving.
Exactly.
So for folks who are feeling overwhelmed right now,
Mm.
what's your best piece of advice?
First, take a deep breath.
Okay.
You are not alone in this.
Yeah.
Millions of families are facing these same challenges. There are resources available
Mm-hmm.
and people who can help you navigate this maze.
Reach out, ask questions, and don't be afraid to challenge the status quo.
Exactly. And remember, college is just one chapter
Right.
in a much longer story.
Yeah.
Your worth isn't defined by the school you attend
Right.
or the amount of debt you graduate with.
What matters is your passion,
Yes.
your work ethic,
Mm-hmm.
and your commitment to creating a fulfilling life.
That's it.
And those are things that no college can take away from you.
Are beautifully said.
It's amazing to think how much the college experience has changed
Yeah.
over the past few decades.
Yeah.
You used to be seen as this exciting time
I know.
of exploration and growth,
Yeah.
like a rite of passage.
Right.
But for a lot of students today,
Mm-hmm.
it's a time of intense pressure
Yeah.
and financial anxiety.
It's true. And I think it's important to acknowledge that shift
Mm-hmm.
and have honest conversations about the challenges that students are facing.
Yeah.
We can't just pretend that everything's fine when so many are struggling.
But it's also important to remember that there is hope.
Yeah.
There are people and organizations out there
Mm-hmm.
who are working tirelessly
Yeah.
to make college more affordable and accessible.
Absolutely.
And there are students out there
Mm-hmm.
who are finding creative ways
Yeah.
to finance their education
Right.
without drowning in debt.
Those stories of resilience and innovation are what give me hope for the future.
Yeah.
They remind us that even in the face of adversity, we can find solutions
Yeah.
and create positive change.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges of college affordability, but let's end on a positive note.
Okay.
What advice would you give to students and families who are feeling overwhelmed by this whole process?
My advice would be to start by taking a deep breath
Okay,
and remind yourself that you're not alone.
right.
Millions of families are navigating this complex landscape,
Yeah.
and there are resources available to help you.
So it's about reaching out, asking for help,
Yes,
not being afraid to challenge the status quo.
exactly. And it's about remembering that college is just one chapter
Right.
in a much longer story.
Yeah.
Your worth is not defined by the school you attend or the amount of debt you graduate with.
What really matters is your passion, your work ethic,
Uh-huh.
and your commitment to creating a fulfilling life.
That's it.
And those are things that no college can take away from you.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
But before we move on to part 3, I want to leave our listeners with this thought.
Fair?
If a college education is supposed to be an investment in your future, shouldn't it feel like an investment you can actually afford?
Yeah, it really should be an investment, not a burden.
Right.
You know, one thing that stuck with me from these clips is this idea of treating college like a rational investment, not just like an emotional decision.
It's so easy to get caught up in the hype, you know?
The rankings, the campuses.
Where your friends are going.
Yeah, where your friends are going. But the sources really encourage families to look at the numbers,
Right.
weigh the costs and benefits, and consider the return on investment.
Yeah, it's like buying a house or a car. You wouldn't just go with your gut feeling, right?
Exactly.
You'd crunch the numbers, compare options, make a strategic decision.
And with college, that return on investment isn't just about like your starting salary.
Right.
It's about your overall earning potential, your career satisfaction, and the doors that a degree can open.
But let's be honest, for a lot of 18-year-olds, thinking that far ahead is tough.
It is. That's why it's so important for families to have these conversations early on.
Yeah.
Set realistic expectations, talk about budgets, and explore different financing options
Right.
before that acceptance letter arrives.
Right. One source even suggested having kids contribute to their college costs, even if it's just a small amount.
Yeah.
It gives them skin in the game and helps them understand the value of their education. It teaches them financial responsibility
Right.
and the importance of planning ahead.
Okay, so we've talked about community college, working during school, even starting a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
But one topic that really sparked my curiosity was investing in college town real estate.
Okay.
It seems like kind of a bold move,
Right.
but the sources make a pretty compelling case.
It's definitely a strategy that challenges conventional thinking.
Yeah.
But think about it.
Yeah.
You're providing housing for your student at a potentially lower cost than the dorms,
Right.
and you're building an asset that could appreciate in value over time.
It's like a 2-for-1 deal.
It is.
But how do you know if a particular college town is a good investment?
Right.
I mean, not all campuses are created equal.
The sources actually offer some pretty practical tips for evaluating a college town's real estate market.
Okay.
One thing they emphasize is this thing called the beds to buddies ratio. Essentially, it's the number of students compared to the number of dorm beds available.
So a high beds to buddies ratio means there's more demand for off-campus housing.
Exactly. More students than dorm spaces means higher demand for rentals,
Right.
which can drive up property values and rental income.
Makes sense. What else should investors be looking at?
Vacancy rates are important.
Okay.
You want to make sure there's a strong rental market.
Right.
And also look at the overall economic health of the town.
Okay.
Is the college a major employer? Are there other industries driving growth?
Right.
Those factors can impact property values and rental demand in the long run.
It's like any real estate investment location.
Precisely. And when it comes to the type of property, the sources seem to favor condos.
Okay.
They offer a lot of advantages for absentee landlords.
I can see why you don't have to worry about yard work or exterior maintenance or dealing with as many tenant issues.
Right.
Plus, you could even hire a property manager to handle the day-to-day stuff.
Exactly. It takes a lot of the hassle out of being a landlord,
Yeah.
especially if you're not living in the same town.
Okay, so we've explored a ton of different strategies for making college more affordable.
Yeah,
From community college to working while in school to even investing in real estate.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's about finding what works best for you and your family.
Absolutely. There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
It's about being informed, being proactive, and making choices that align with your values, your goals, and your budget.
And remember, it's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
There are resources available, and you don't have to navigate this maze alone.
Well said. I think that's a great message to leave our listeners with.
Well, I want to thank you again for diving into these sources with me.
It's been my pleasure.
It's been an eye-opening journey.
It's always inspiring to see people taking control of their financial futures.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to something as important as education.
And to our listener, we hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights and maybe even sparked some new ideas. Remember, you have the power to create a brighter future for yourself and your family.
That's right.
It all starts with taking that first step.